I get it done, I have fun. It's my time and I'm the one. I'm breaking through.
Hey, from hustling books to leading $60 million sales teams. Yep, that's what my guest is going to help us understand, where he started, where he ended, and where he's looking forward to going to. So I'm excited to have him on here. I'm grateful that he had time to fit us in today to be on the show and share some of his wisdom. So if you're here live watching us, welcome. Thank you for taking the time to sneak in, have a peek. And if you have a comment that you would like to make, please make it, and we'll do our best to address it as the show goes on. And if not at the show, as soon as we possibly can afterwards. And if you're watching this on the replay, same to you. Thank you for taking time to plug us in, take a look, and feedback, comments. That's how we get better. And one of the things I found in the feedback I'm getting over the years we've been doing this, 400 episodes, is people are showing up and telling me that the things they're learning from my guests are sometimes game-changing, but it could just be like a kaleidoscope, where one idea helps them go down to another path and accentuates the thing that they were aspiring to do, be, and have. So just never know what you're going to get from a show like today. So in order for me to sponsor this and keep it going, I'm going to attempt to play this wonderful little crafted video right here. Whether you're a seasoned veteran, entrepreneur, business owner, or maybe starting up or somewhere in the middle, maybe your business is working out absolutely excellent and you're happy with it, you can check that out on the Business Growth Score that you can do. It's a complimentary assessment, no credit card required. And if you're at the other end of the spectrum and you're having some challenges you're facing, it'll help you identify where they are. And because you're catching this on the Business Renovator, my gift to you is a complimentary 30-minute coaching conversation. Like I said, no credit card required. And let's see if we can help you whatever area you are looking to have a hand up with. Enough about me. Let's bring on my guest. But before I do that, let me tell you a little bit about him. That's what I'm going to do. We're going to be looking at bringing on RJ Lowery. And hey, what's cool about this, now I know 3 Lowerys in my life. It's amazing. And two are American and one's Canadian. Not that matters, because we're all of the same thing. We're all part of the human race. So welcome to Sales Development Hacks, built for business success. As I mentioned, today's guest is RJ Lowery, an executive coach, consultant with 30 years shaping sales leadership, digital marketing, and business growth. From building $60 million sales forces at Tom James to driving strategic partnerships at RevLocal, and I hope I'm saying this one correctly, Hibu, to mentoring more than 350 entrepreneurs through the Expert Edge business coaching platform. RJ knows how to accelerate profits, reclaim time, and amplify impact. I just wanted to pause there for a minute. Amplify impact, get your time back, and accelerate your profits. I said it backwards because either way it sounds powerful. And beyond the boardroom, well, he's a husband, father, grandfather, mentor, wrestling supporter, and yes, even a former Wheel of Fortune contestant. Get ready. This is going to be a wickedly awesome, as they say, Massachusetts conversation. I'm bringing them up now. RJ, are you here? There you are.
How you doing, Phil? Good to see you.
I'm wonderful, man. Thanks for asking. What's the best thing that's happened to you since the last time we had a chin waggle of sorts?
Yeah, since the last chin waggle, I've gotten beat up on the jujitsu mats. I have finished another book, not my book, but reading. I've got an incredible time with my granddaughters and my girlfriend of 40 years, also my wife of 34. It's the same woman, by the way. Incredible time spent with her, and we're actually planning a trip tomorrow. That's the beauty of the stage of life that we're in now, to go down and see our Cincinnati Reds at the last home game of the season tomorrow. So lots of exciting things.
Who are they playing?
Tomorrow, last game is Pittsburgh, and then they head off to Milwaukee.
Okay.
Which, as we know how Milwaukee's doing. But for us to get that last spot, we need to win, and the Mets need to lose. We need to win out, and the Mets need to lose one or two. So we'll see.
Yeah, I've been to that ballpark. It's nice, like it. I haven't been to them all, but I've been to a few, and it's one of my faves.
Sure,
it's beauty. They had a terrible game though. They lost 10-something, but I had a good time. I was hanging out with the coaches, and we were having conversations, hot dogs, and beverages. Anyway,
awesome.
We're here to talk about baseball, but hey, it's like almost October, and it's the best part of baseball is October. The best time of business is whenever you're in business, the opportunity to grow, expand, make an impact for yourself and those that you serve. So today we're talking about, the headline here is from hustling books to leading $60 million sales teams. Like, you didn't come into the world being a guy that could do that instantaneously. There has to be some start point for all of this for you, right? I mean, you've created a family, you've created a business. And like, if you plant a seed, I think bamboo takes 2 years to become bamboo, and others, the gestation period of success is not the same for everybody. So is it a crazy idea for me to go back and ask you to just kind of tell us where you started in your entrepreneurial world?
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned from hustling books. So actually, while I was in college, I went to Ohio University. Now I'm a Columbus, Ohio American, and I grew up around watching Archie Griffin win 2 Heisman trophies. So I've been a Buckeye fan, and I know there's a lot of haters out there, but national champion Buckeyes. Been a big fan my whole life, and but I ended up going a little farther southeast of Columbus to Athens, Ohio, and I'm actually an Ohio University Bobcat. So went down to OU and wasn't able to pay, for my schooling. My folks weren't able to pay for it. I got a little bit of support from my grandmother. And so I found myself doing all kinds of things. And I found that selling things ended up being fairly good for me. And what I put it on, besides starting with selling plasma, I don't know if anybody else did that when they were in college, but I sold liquids within my body, selling plasma, to then selling spring break trips. And then actually a chance situation. I was supposed to go to Japan and teach English. And my fraternity brother had been telling me about this crazy selling books thing, which was the Southwestern company, now called Southwestern Advantage. It had been around since the Civil War. They sold educational books and biblical things back all the way back to the Civil War days. And in the 80s, there was like 10,000 college kids a summer doing it. So my trip to Japan fell through, and I was just completely dejected walking down Court Street. Anybody that's been to Athens knows the bricks of Court Street are very famous. I'm walking down, and my fraternity brother sees me, and he says, "Hey man, why are you so dejected?" I think my chin was dragging on the ground. And I said, "Well, hey, Japan fell through." And he said, "Dude, you need to come sell books." So he got me an interview with a guy named Joe. His name was also Joe. So when I told my dad I was going to sell books door to door with 2 guys named Joe, he was not very happy with it. But in the summer of '86, I made about $8,600. Ironically, $8,600 was how much I made in the summer of '86 in 8 weeks. And and it was the hardest thing in the world. We worked about 80 hours a week away from home, straight commission, paying our own expenses, and living with a family that we had to find by ourselves. So it taught me a lot of things about myself. I definitely had some tears. I definitely was missing my family, missing my girlfriend, who's now my wife. And but I also understood that if I wanted to become something. And like some of these other folks, I was going to have to do things that other people weren't willing to do. So that's where it started.
So it sounds like in that segment of your journey, there was a lot of being comfortable with being uncomfortable stuff going on.
Absolutely.
And tenacity and resiliency sounded like it showed up in spades, large amounts, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I actually have a guest coming on my mastermind next week, which is Hall of Fame Ohio State wrestling coach Tom Ryan. He wrote a book called Chosen Suffering, and I would encourage anybody that wants to check it out, especially if they happen to be a college or Olympic wrestling fan. And he talks about if you're living a life of chosen suffering, it allows you to prepare yourself for the unchosen suffering that we're all going to experience. Like we've been told through books that we've read that, life isn't always going to be easy. And matter of fact, in most cases, it's going to be very difficult. We're going to have seasons, but we're going to have to figure out a way to work through those times. And in many cases, that character is produced, that resilience is produced, that grit is reduced through those times. So we've all heard Tony say it. Anybody that's followed Tony is like, life isn't happening to us, but it's happening for us. And I really adopted that. And I had to put it into play every day when I wanted to quit and go home. But yet I knew that I wasn't a quitter. My folks didn't raise a quitter. So I had to put it into action. And then I was crazy enough to not only do it one summer, but then I got a bunch of other kids to go do it. And the first day of the next summer, I said, I cannot believe I'm doing this again. Because my wife said that when she got pregnant the second time. She's like, here we go. I know. And she's 100 pounds, 5 foot and 100 pounds. So, but then you understand it's the right thing to do. And I ended up doing it 5 summers to pay my way through school, and then taking kids out, college kids out with me as well.
So you went from learning to earning to teaching. I was trying to come up with some kind of teaching and reaching and teaching others to be reaching. Oh, that was terrible. Anyway, you get what I'm saying,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
It's about elevating and expanding people's horizons. I've written down 3 things so far. I'm sure there's going to be more. And I normally recap these at the end of the show, but I can't wait. Selling, being comfortable with being uncomfortable, which was one of my favorite things. And the other thing, you didn't say this word, but what you were defining when I was listening to you, take action and don't stop.
Absolutely.
Right? And it sounds like that's what you did in the years that you were going through education and paying for your own way by earning your way and helping others to do the same. It's cool.
Yeah.
Pat yourself on the back. I'm patting myself for you, not for me.
Yeah. A lot of my friends went and took the easy jobs in the summertime. And I think I had one summer where I did that, where I was a lifeguard and I twirled the whistle this way. And then once I got done, I twirled it back the other way. And I had sunglasses on so that the girls couldn't see where my eyes were going. I had one summer like that. But other than that, it ended up being just what we talked about. Really one of the hardest summer jobs anybody can do. I ran my own business and then ended up having my last summer doing it. I had 50 folks. I had about 8 leaders and we were out for a total of 12 weeks.
And one of the things I don't know if it's a benefit or not, you kind of look weird. You kind of look, I would imagine, look like a raccoon after a summer of being a lifeguard with sunglasses on.
Yes, that's right.
Anyway,
just like the skiers do, like the skiers pull it off.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, is there something about the sales world that you hate? Let's go there first. That you actually really don't enjoy doing?
Well, I'd say I'm at a point in my life now. I turned 60 a couple months ago. So version 6.0 of RJ has dropped. And I would say version 6.0 of RJ does not want to do what version 2.2 had to do, which was cold calling and pounding the phones. Because I did all that because that job because I had to do that to recruit college kids. I was pounding the phones and knocking on dorm doors and putting up sheets of paper that have that little thing that you tear off, right? Like some people would say looking for a roommate. I was like looking for a summer job, earn 5 hours of college credit, travel to another part of the United States, and tear this off. And then they would come into an interview that I ended up running. But again, I think I'm at a point now that, I kind of hated it then too, but I knew it was a necessary evil. And now I'm at a point where I've said, I've I was a marketing major in college. How can I create a business that generates leads through marketing, and I don't have to do some of that cold calling sales? Now, I still teach that. It's fun to teach it. But if I'm being super real, I don't have to cold call in today's world for my business coaching clients. But I teach other business owners how to do that because I've done my fair share of it. I've done my fair share of drop-ins. I've done my fair share of seminars. And now I'd rather do really good marketing and video and content and then just work a network and referrals. And anybody that's watching this, would maybe say that that's what they want to aspire to as well. But they got to put in the work first to build the network.
So I'm glad you said cold calling, because that's one of the things I dislike about the selling profession.
Yeah.
It's a necessary thing, going back to being comfortable with being uncomfortable. And one of the things that I learned along the way to help me do the things that I don't enjoy doing, I have a quote, actually. I might be able to bring it up on the banners. I wasn't thinking about this, but I can say the quote without saying the quote, reading the quote. But it says, there it is right there. You only have to do what you don't want to do until you don't have to anymore. So I love that quote from one of my mentors along the way, Leland Valvan. Amazing quote. And it's true, because one of two things could happen with this idea is that you could do what you're doing. You don't have to do it anymore, but you teach others how to do it, because you've got to a station in life where you have other ways. You've got a network, and they're warm calls instead of cold calls. And I had another thought around that, but the other thing is you can hire somebody to do the things that you don't want to do. That's the other option.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, and you highlighted it coming onto the show, that what my whole life is about now is, if I can show business owners, and in some cases it's top level salespeople, executives, if I can show them how to accelerate their profits, what does that mean? Show them how to make more money, right? If I can show them how to make more money so that they can reclaim back time for themselves. Because a lot of people will make more money and then they'll buy the nicer car, make more money, they'll get the bigger house, make more money, send the kids to private school, make more money. But in the meantime, they're missing that kid's soccer games. In the meantime, their wife is wondering, when is there ever going to be light at the end of the tunnel? So I'm more about, anybody that knows me, I've been a pretty conservative guy. I've always tried to live very behind my means. So as I've made more money, my standard of living really didn't change. And I looked at ways that I could gain time back. And one of the ways I could gain time back is by delegating things off that I didn't want to do. And I either didn't want to do it, I didn't like to do it, or I was horrible at it. Craig Rochelle is one of my favorite leadership podcasts. And Craig always talks about, if somebody can do it 85% as well as you or better, it's gone. Delegate it. And some people say, well, I don't have the money to pay that person. Okay, make more money. And then, so that's why I want to help you accelerate profits so that you can reclaim back time for yourself. And that time can be spent working on the business instead of in it, or give that time to your wife and your kids, to your grandkids. And then why are we doing that? So that we can amplify our impact.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of thoughts going through my head around that same concept and principle. And Jim Rohn said, when people say, well, I can't afford that, become more valuable, make more money. So you can do that. Another mentor of mine said, set the intention. What is it that you want, and why do you want it? And stifle the how. And you'll invent the way. You'll get intuitive thoughts that will encourage you to go down a path, get a book, pick up a phone, talk to somebody. And when I go back over my life, journey personally, I've had numerous, too many to count, situations like that. And on the flip side of that is, I get the hunch and I went, yeah, okay, I'll get around to it. I get around to it, but I'm a day too late. They say, well, if you'd have called me yesterday, we'd have taken you up on that idea, hired you, or whatever it was. So when you get these hunches, act on them right away. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to cross the goal line. But you're going to advance to some place you haven't been before, and you'll get feedback to support you on what it is you want and why you want it. It'll help you get some answers to how can I make that happen.
I mean, that's so great. It makes me think back to the 80s and Lou Tice and the reticular activating system.
Wait a minute. Were you reading my mind? That's who I was referring to. Former
Well,
facilitator.
I assumed it was, but I didn't want to make that assumption. But yeah, absolutely. That was some of the original sales training that I learned. And just you and I both know that. And Tony's example, when anybody that's watched Tony's, he always says, look at everything that's red, 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 red. What's name everything that's red? Okay, now show me something brown. What color is this? Red. Like, no, it's brown. It's, because we're focusing on the red. So that is I completely agree with what you're saying. And I think at this stage in my life, and I remember a book called Leadership and Self-Deception by the Arbinger Institute. That was also something probably in the 90s that I read, another great book. If anybody's a reader, I'd encourage you to check that one out. But it's that same concept when you're saying act upon those hunches. It's if we have this intention, we feel this intention that we should do something, then if we are not acting upon that intention, people, I'm not going to get spiritual. I'm a faith-based person myself, but some people could say that's God, that's universe, whatever you want to call that to you. But there's this intention that you feel you should do something. And in most cases, it's a good intention, then you should act upon it. And if you don't, you're literally chinking away at your self-image. So every time we ignore, you said hunch. So that hunch, that intention, that action that we know we should do. So there's times where I'll leave a room and I won't shut off the lights. And then I'll be like, you should shut off that light. I make enough money to keep the lights on 24 hours if I want to. But guess what? As soon as I feel that, you should shut that off. I'll literally come back down the stairs. This is my lower level, my office down here, and I'll go shut off that light. And it's something I've taught people. And I've told them to read that book. But in most cases, those hunches or that intention is somebody, something, your body, whatever, telling you to take action.
Somebody chiming in here. Look at that. What Darren's saying. A day late, $1 short.
That's right. Yep. So you're going to miss the opportunity, and you're chinking away at your self-image at the same time. Why would one do that if they know that they shouldn't?
And then somebody else in the world of mind-altering thinking, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about our personality becomes our personal reality. In other words, what we think about, we bring about. The Strangest Secret by Earl Schoaf. Pardon me, the other Earl Nightingale. Yeah. Earl Schoaf was somebody who impacted Jim Rohn. When Jim Rohn thought he was smart and got it all figured out, and then he was broke and he couldn't afford to pay for Girl Guide cookies when they came to the door. Apparently, he had to lie to her because he didn't have $2 to buy a box of cookies. He said that will never happen again. Somebody told him he should go and meet Earl Schoaf, the one that I went to. And Earl Schoaf was apparently easy to talk to, a good mentor, and helped Jim Rohn become who Jim Rohn ended up becoming, who shared a lot of wisdom with us. Well, you probably heard of him, being that you're at 6.0. I actually heard of him. I'm at 7.0. And there's been some amazing thought leaders and in the past, and some up and coming ones as well. I made a note here. You said read, and that reminded me that leaders read. And if you want to earn more, learn more.
Yeah. And again, I got that from those crazy book folks at Southwestern Advantage, because these folks were pouring into me and mentoring me. I was hungry. I was a byproduct of 5 divorces in our immediate family. Not a lot of money. We were able to, we were able to eat, but I would call it lower middle class. My folks did the best that they could. My mom was 17 when she had me. My dad was 20, and that marriage didn't last long. And I had a grandmother that raised me. God bless her soul. I'd say a lot of the things that the good values that I have within me were from my grandmother. My dad did the best he could as well. An aunt poured into me, a stepmom, and so forth. But those folks, when I got to the Southwestern company and those folks started pouring into me, one of the things they said is leaders are readers. Mm-hmm. And they said, RJ, you should aspire to read a book a month. And then I started that in my 20s, and I continued that until about a year ago. And then I said, okay, I got to figure out a way. I got to expedite that, and I need to I'm losing time. So I moved it up to basically a book every 2 to 3 weeks. And I'd like to get to potentially a book a week, but right now I'm every 2 to 3 weeks. And I enjoy it. Am I retaining absolutely everything? Probably not. And I'll go back and read some of the best ones. I do a lot of it on Audible, and I listen fast. So, and my other Audible folks out there that love to speed it up to 1.5 or 1.75, but or two, yeah. But are we? I'm not just sitting and listening. I'm habit stacking. So I'm doing the yard work at that time. I'm cleaning the kitchen. I'm running. A lot of people say they don't have time for it. It's like, no, you haven't made time for it. It's not important enough to you yet.
Here's a Jim Rowanism based on that. If you want to do it, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse.
Amen. I completely agree with that.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. I made a challenge to myself, and I wanted to do it for 30 days. And I have an audio of Brian Tracy's Total Confidence. And the challenge was, and I've given it to my clients to do, and some do it and some don't. I can't make you do it. But what I found in doing it, I ended up doing it for 40 days in a row. But I had a hiccup. I think it was about day 12 or day 13, and it was 20 minutes or 15 minutes before midnight. And part of the rule of this challenge was you needed to do it 30 days in a row or start again. I went, no, I don't want to start again. I don't have time to listen to a 28-minute video or audio. How the heck? I have this speed 'em up app on my phone. I put it in there. I got it done with like a minute to spare, and I didn't have to continue. I didn't have to start again. What's the big deal about that? Is I think Harv Eker says, how you do anything is how you do everything. So I wanted to develop my mindset and keeping my word to myself. And this was one of the areas to do that. And then there was 3 segments where Brian talks about 3 core lessons in it. Affirmations, what we say to ourselves is affirmations. Following what, having the right mindset, there was a story about that. And the third one off the top of my head just has vaporized. But the key to this whole thing was repetition and keeping your word. And I found that it did increase my confidence in many areas.
Absolutely.
So listening to it at 2.5, because I've heard it numerous times. I didn't have to hear it word for word. It was reactivating it and re-imprinting it into my subconscious mind so that it became more habitual more often.
Yeah, I think it's funny because 3.5 years ago, over 3.5 years ago now, I lost my first parent. So to be 56, 57 years old and hadn't lost any parents yet, what a blessing. I'm so thankful, so grateful to have been given a life to have my parents involved, and everybody's reconciled and great things. But we lost my wife's father December of 4 years ago. And it's at this point, you had mentioned our company, our digital marketing company, RevLocal, had grown. Going into COVID, we were around 500 employees and over 200 salespeople. And my start with them, I came in as in a business coaching role and a consultant role. And within 90 days, I saw that we had some opportunity there. It was 10 employees, 4 salespeople. And like I said, we grew it to over 500 employees and over 200 salespeople. And I was gunning hard, had some health issues in there. And what ended up happening is the old proverbial, I wasn't putting the oxygen mask on myself, and I was gaining weight. I'm still, what's the best way to put it? I'm a chunkier guy. I got the Italian side of me. My dad's tall and slender. I'm a thick guy. I'm a wrestler. But boy, I was about 35 pounds heavier than I am now. I had 0 cardio. I hadn't been on the martial arts mats in years. And when my father-in-law passed away and I watched how he kind of had wasted away by no movement, I just really felt it was time to make a drastic change. I went to the other owners and leadership of the business. I said, I'm going to step back completely from all my leadership. I'm going to pass on my leaders. And they said, well, hey, what would you want to do? Are you moving back into your coaching? I said, I want to stay with the company. I want to be here for the event, but how about I just sell? I've been the guy coming in from corporate launching markets. I should say one of the guys that did this. And I'm like, how about I just sell? And they were wondering if my self-image could handle that, because I'd been used to being at a higher title and position. And I said, you know what? It just seems incredibly fun to me at this point to actually be able to do that. And, but I made a decision. I wasn't going to start working until 10 o'clock, and I was going to wake up at 5 a.m. And from 5 to 10 was my evening in the morning. And I was going to take my morning time, which included, a variety of habits that a lot of us that are listening probably have. But I said, I'm going to get back on the jujitsu mats, and I'm going to start doing infrared sauna. So I'm over 2 hours every morning now. And it's great to be able to start the day at 10 o'clock. And I've gotten a lot of the hard stuff out of the way. But that was something that was, something drastic had to happen in me to help me realize that I was headed down a path I didn't want to head down. And I would speak to anybody else that's listening right now, either live or afterwards. If you haven't been prioritizing your health, you need to get on top of that, because if you aren't taking care of yourself, you aren't able to pour out of that cup to others. And that's really my most important thing that I feel I'm called to do on this life, is to help people amplify their impact.
You remind me of something that I'm a big fan of, learning from Brian Tracy. It's called a diamond map. It's divided into 4 areas, and the underpinning one is health and fitness. But that's another story for another day. One thing I hate about the show, there's a timeline and it starts to end, and I promise to do some things on your behalf. So I'm going to start doing that, because I want to keep my word to you also as to myself. So let me do that right now. Okay, that's the start of it. So this is your LinkedIn page, but I need to do something else. I want to do something else. Let's go.
Yeah, it's R.J. I think that messes with people sometimes, but there is actually but if you put in, or even R.J. Lowery, I think sometimes it ignores the dots, but.
Well, you know what I can do? Watch this. This is live television. Hang on, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen.
And just while you're doing that, I just want to say, Phil, thanks so much. I didn't get a chance in the beginning because we dove right in, but this is so fun to me. I really did enjoy our time that we've gotten to know each other, and the fact that you have as many people as you do that are following you, listening to you, being coached by you, being influenced by you. This is truly an honor for me. So I just hope that I can bring just a little bit of an impact. And this is one of those calls and live streams that people can walk away from and haven't gotten something from it. So thank you for the opportunity.
I appreciate that. And I'm with you. It's when people say, why do I do this? Do you make any money on it? No, not really. I do it because 2 things. The things I relearn, get to reaffirm. The new things I get to learn. And then the new people I get to know at a deeper level and foster relationships. So that's what I get from this. So there we go, R.J. Lowery. And then the other place we're going to go is right here. Just hang on. I got a light in my head. Makes it hard to see the top of the screen. There we go. So this is your website.
You're like a rock star on stage. He can't see his audience. He's got to go like this.
That's right. I got to block it because it's right above the monitor. Anyway, so you can go find out more about RJ right here, expertedgebusinesscoaching.com. And wait, just as like that guy on TV selling the ShamWow.
There's more.
That's right. There's one more thing here. Let me get to that one, which is this one. And again, this one's not so bad. I can get there. So I liked about this is I actually have a link tree, but I never thought of using it this way. So all of your social media and other places to get to you are on this one page. That's brilliant. Instagram, your Facebook business page, LinkedIn, just goes on and on and on. Wealth of knowledge for a wise guy who's lived life, had the ups and downs, the peaks and valleys, and he's on the other side helping other people fill in the gaps with their valleys. I think we need the valleys and the peaks because it's like listening to music with just high notes or just low notes and no pauses. It would be dreadful, in my opinion. So
that's why the best movies are usually following the hero's journey model. It's like,
yeah.
It really wouldn't be, and I know we could do an entire show and maybe we could do that. Let's talk about all the failures. But I've got plenty of those as well. And a lot of people maybe see themselves in that failure spot, and they have to realize that failure was something that happened to help them learn. Failure isn't who they are. And so I learned that from somebody way smarter than me a long time ago. And then I had to put that into practice many times when I did fail in both my businesses, the entrepreneurial opportunities that I was within as a company with ownership, and then also even in coaching and consulting and trying new things.
I'm looking at my list of banners that I have that they're some of my favorite phrases. And the one that's not on there, I'm surprised. I'm not going to do it. Take me too long to type it, but I will say it. And it's the word fail. And what I liked about what it is, and there's probably numerous ones, but the one I'm going to share today is FAIL is not fail. It's a first attempt in learning. And if you adopt that philosophy, when you take a hit, when you stub your toes, when you scrape your knees, it's painful. It can be, it could be devastating. It's not what happens to us, though. It's how we respond to what's happening that makes a difference. That's how we are able to get up, stand up, and take another step towards it. So we have a big enough drive, purpose, and intention. It's easier to get up and keep on keeping on. Jesse Itzler, who's married to Sarah Blakely, hired a SEAL to live in for 30 days.
I remember that.
One of the things he talks about is when you're feeling like you haven't got anything left, you're only at 40% of your potential, because the creative subconscious mind's job is to maintain sanity for us. And that sanity is how we perceive ourselves, our self-concept. But the reality is we have more than a 40% to give. That's just where we're comfortable. So if you're feeling yourself at that point, just know you're only at 40% of your capacity. You've got 60% more to dive in and do. So,
well, let's address Darren, and then I'll, if you don't have the down points, you can't measure the high spots accurately. Yeah, that's very, very good.
Yeah, I love it. Look, thanks.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so I have a mastermind that I lead on a weekly basis, and I interview somebody once a month, and sometimes I'll feature a business or even a B2B salesperson once a month, but I'm usually teaching and building community, same thing you're doing here. But my speaker last week was a retired 3-star general, Michael Ferder, and his last gig in the military was 75 Army bases were under him. But this guy was an Army Ranger who commanded Special Forces units. He didn't know that when he became my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructor on Wednesday and Friday mornings at 67 years old, he didn't know that I was so disappointed to lose the 2 cops that were leading me, because at that point I was running a large safety and security team at our church that has grown to about 2,500 on the weekends. And I was like, man, I'm learning so much, because they interlace this martial arts and jiu-jitsu with security and cop stories and so forth. But what's so exciting is that my dad was 32 years in the military, and out of all those books I read, about every 4th or 5th book is something that's Special Forces military strategy along those lines. And so those guys leave, and who replaces them but a 3-star general, a 67-year-old 3rd-degree black belt 3-star general, who I now get to sit under his tutelage on the mat. But that one's actually going to go into that link tree, Phil. General Ferder was an incredible interview. And a lot of the things that you're saying, Jesse talked about, anybody that's been through SEAL buds and been in some sort of Special Forces there's always more in there than they thought. And that's why they try and do all of that stuff in the training, so that when they find themselves, as the lone, the last person, whatever the case may be, they're going to figure out a way to get out and get their guys out if at all possible as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So here I'm going to ask you one thing to help us wrap this up. If there's one idea, one concept that you could share in like 47 seconds or less, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I would say it really when it comes down to it, you are the architect of your future. And you said it before, I say it fairly often as well, as you can make excuse or you can make a way. And if we're catching you in a down season, as you're watching, listening, after the fact, whatever, you're the one that's going to determine whether you are able to pull yourself up out of that. If you can get up, if you can look up, then you can get up. If you can get up, you can put one step in front of the other. And almost anybody that's had the kind of success that probably a lot of the folks he's had on here have had, is they have powered through those failures. So if I can be of any support, Would love to get to know some of you guys. Certainly connect on LinkedIn. I put out a fair amount of content. And thanks so much again for the opportunity. I hope there were some nuggets that you could take away, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Well, I got some nuggets, like I was, selling, being uncomfortable, being uncomfortable. You think I'd never heard that before. I use it all the time, but I'm just action. It's got to do that. Cold calling is something that not many people enjoy doing. I'm sure there are some that really like doing it. But it's one of the best ways to connect with people if you know how to do it effectively. So you can learn how to do it and get comfortable with it. And read, because leaders read, and you want to earn more. You got to learn more to become more valuable to other people. Thanks again for taking time to be on my show, The Business Renovator. A very esteemed guest. It was fun, and we ran out of time. We went longer than normal, but that's what happens. So I ask you to hang out. Don't leave, even though I'm wrapping this up, and I'll be back with you again. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, everybody.
So I don't know if you heard what I heard, but I said what I heard numerous times. So I'm not going to repeat all of those things: selling, being uncomfortable, being comfortable, being uncomfortable, and read, earn more, become more valuable. And who can you wake up and serve, make a difference? It doesn't have to be bases loaded. We're baseball season, bases loaded, home run. Who can you help get on a team? Who can you help get up to bat? Metaphorically speaking, what can you do to make a difference in your world? Just thinking. So I'm going to bring up one of my favorite things to do, and it's bringing up this. I learned this from Val Vanderwall. And he said, oh, look, it's on the wrong side. It's actually this side. You, where my finger is actually you are unique and you are wonderful. So continue being your unique, wonderful self. Until next time, I'm your host, Coach Phil, and that's a wrap for today.
I get it done, I have fun. It's my time and I'm the one.